Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at Lucid. Can Lucid EV price cuts save them in 2023? It's a big question. I've made quite a few videos talking about Lucid recently. What happens if Lucid goes private? What happens if the Saudi Arabian investment funds completely buy all of the share of Lucid? Is that even possible? This is an investment fund that's not short on money. The main reason for being on the stock market is to make it easy for companies to raise money. However, if Lucid main shareholder, their owner, has an abundance of money, they don't need to raise much. So the possibilities of Lucid going private, it's realistic at least. There's definitely some merits. It's definitely worth having a conversation. And so far, there's been no confirmation, no denial, and it's been a bit suspect, if I'm being completely honest. So today, here's what I want to take a look at. The Lucid price cut of $7,500 US. But here's the important question. Lucid can't compete in this market, so they have to do this price cut. But why can't Lucid compete within this market? I wrote this article that basically explains everything. My thesis, my analysis, my theory on why Lucid is having a difficult time attracting customers. Listen, there's a reason why Polestar was able to sell over 50,000 vehicles last year. Lucid was only able to sell around 4,200 or something. They did produce around 6,000, however. But those production numbers for a high-end EV company, they're low and they're probably going to remain low. Realistically, for this year, Lucid perhaps sells 10,000 vehicles, maybe 15,000. Ideally, they should be selling at least 20,000 to 25,000. Last year, I believe Rivian sold about 20,000. This year, they're going for around 50,000. They're doubling. So what's stopping Lucid? Very good question, and I've got the answer. Before we go into the answer, let me just say that we will be having a look at the Lucid share price today. It's just around $12 right now. And thankfully, it hasn't completely plummeted so far today. Now, for me, in the UK, it's currently 20 minutes to 5 p.m. in the evening. So not much has happened in the market so far. There's still over 4 hours before the market is closed. So a lot could happen in that time period. A lot could happen for the rest of the week. But how low will the Lucid price go within this uncertainty time? Now, there's been a lot of rumors online as well that there's no way retail investors, people like me and you, could raise the price of Lucid by that much, making it doubled. You have to understand, the price almost doubled. The price went from just around $8.70, $8.80, $8.90 to around $16.80. Very impressive. So how is it that retail investors could do that? Retail investors don't have billions of dollars to invest in the market. That must have been institutional investors. Why would institutional investors want to invest in Lucid in an uncertain time when the company could go private, when it could be bought out by anyone? It's a very good question. But understand, with the American market, when institutional investors buy into these companies, they buy shares, they don't have to declare it immediately. I think they declare it on their next financial filing. So sometimes when Warren Buffett makes a decision, his fans only find out like 2-3 months later, and that's only because he does his filing, and that's revealed through its filing. And depending on how much of the share is bought, then you either have to file it at different time periods. But my point is, no way retail investors could raise the price and make it double. That's just not possible. That's all institutional investor. We are a small percentage of that market. And even more interesting, I don't think enough retail investors like me, like you, are interested in buying Lucid. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people who do want to buy Lucid, but not that much. Not over 10 billion worth of dollars from institutional investors. No way. Not even close. And there's also a lot of retail investors who refrain from buying as well. So basically what I'm saying is Lucid exploding in price, that's not us. That's someone else. But let's get into it. So why is Lucid different from other companies? Why are they struggling for demand? Other companies are getting too much demand. Tesla, Polestar, Rivian, they're getting too much demand. They can barely handle it. Lucid is one of the few EV companies that are not getting the same amount of demand that other companies are getting. And yes, Tesla cutting price made it way worse. It basically threw every other EV maker into the deep end. And that's Tesla sending a message like, just to remind you, I'm still king. And you should respect me, because in a moment I could completely detonate your company. Tesla can afford to reduce their price. Other companies, they struggle to afford that. So Tesla could inadvertently completely end a company by reducing their price, and everyone rushes to buy Tesla. I've been looking at resale price for Teslas. Wow, they're so much cheaper now. In the UK, I'm looking at Tesla Model 3, I believe. 28,000, 26,000, 29,000. This is so unnatural. Usually a second-hand Tesla, especially low mileage, is perhaps a Tesla Model 3 as well. It's perhaps, if you're lucky, 39 grand, 38 grand, if you're lucky. And if you're very lucky, maybe 37 grand, but not 27. Basically, 10,000 pounds have fallen off resale prices for Tesla cars, for Tesla Model 3s, especially in the UK. That's the power of Tesla. And honestly, it makes me think, could buy a second-hand Tesla because it's becoming really affordable. Seriously. Anyway, that's enough of that. So Tesla's caused a stir in the industry last week when their prices were slashed by as much as 21%. Tesla was able to afford this dramatic change, which other automakers like Lucid, Rivian, Polestar, and NIO may not have the privilege of doing. Can price cuts save Lucid from a disastrous 2023? Lucid isn't necessarily short on investment, however, they are losing customers to other EV competitors. Competitors have always been around in the high-performance electric sedan market since the birth of the Model S in 2013 and up until the arrival of the Porsche Taycan in 2019. Now the market is shaping up with competitors such as Lucid Air, Audi e-tron GT, Polestar 2, Mercedes-Benz EQS, and much more. Lucid is new, unknown, and expensive. Lucid competitors tend to have a strong history and reliable customers within the automotive industry, which leads to Lucid struggling to attract customers. Now here's where it gets interesting. Lucid is attempting to replicate Tesla's success, Tesla's strategy. Tesla started by selling expensive vehicles like the Model S, the Model X, and the first Roadster. Those were expensive vehicles, but that's at a time when there was no competition. Now, the difference with Tesla was the lack of competition that they faced at the time when they began selling their vehicles. Difference with Lucid right now is that there's plenty of competition. Why buy Lucid Air when you can get a beautiful Audi e-tron GT or a Porsche Taycan or a high-end, high-performance Polestar 2 or a Tesla Model S that has Sentry mode that is essential to keep an eye on the safety of your car and your belongings and your interests. So many automakers don't even have technology such as Sentry mode. It's so basic yet so necessary, yet they lack it. My point is, there's a lot of other options out there. So Lucid needs a plan of action. So the electric car market is vastly different now. Competition is growing and Lucid did not prepare for such a time. They miscalculated and it cost them greatly. Lucid is perhaps one of the few EV companies facing a lack of demand. Others like Tesla, Rivian, Polestar simply have too much demand to fulfill. And that is true. Even Mercedes EVs are in high demand as well. And that's because they have such a strong history. You know, there's people who own the Mercedes and they want to buy another Mercedes and they're thinking about an electric Mercedes. Lucid is branching out into Europe, but it's not ready yet. It's not fully there yet. So they're not widely available in the European market. And they're still struggling to ramp up production in the US as well. When you're selling only high-end expensive sedans, you limit yourself because you don't have affordable vehicles at around 40 grand. That's what Volvo has done. Volvo has a better strategy for this current market. And that makes more sense. That's why Polestar has become so successful. So Lucid needs a plan of action to combat this unfortunate circumstances. Lucid needs to follow the Volvo strategy by building a cheaper high-end sedan such as the Polestar 2, which sold approximately 51,500 units in 2022 alone. Last year, Polestar sold over 51,000 Polestar 2s alone. This year, they will begin manufacturing the Polestar 3 SUV, adding another one to the lineup. They will also unveil the Polestar 4 crossover SUV. That will start manufacturing next year. And next year, they'll unveil another thing, which is the Polestar 5, a sports GT sedan to compete with the e-tron GT, the Lucid Air, Tesla Model S, Porsche Taycan, high-end performance electric sedans. That's what Polestar will be building with a Polestar 5. The thing is that Polestar was smart enough to start with a cheaper vehicle, but not too cheap that it wouldn't make a good margin, the Polestar 2. around 40 grand, 42 grand. That vehicle is not too cheap, but it's not too expensive. It's in the gray area. It's in that really nice Goldilocks zone where the car makes sense for the price in this current market. And they're upgrading that car in 2024, bringing new technology, 30 plus miles of range, bringing that car up to 300 miles plus of range, more power, all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive as well. They're innovating. So the market is getting crazy, and Volvo has a history of building great cars. So Volvo customers are naturally going to go to Volvo or Polestar because they own Polestar. So that's what comes with having trust and reliable customers. So Lucid is fairly new on the scene as an automaker, and it's being compelled to go down Tesla's route of offering $7,500 as a reduction on its luxury electric Air sedan. But this discount is only available when customers contract the car through Lucid Finance Services. 2022 proved to be a difficult year for Lucid, as the case for many other automakers such as Tesla. However, production totaled 7,180 vehicles last year for Lucid. Very impressive. I actually thought it was around 6,000, but it's just above 7,000. So that's very impressive. So if they can do that in 1 year, they can certainly get to 10,000, perhaps even 20,000 by the end of next year, which would be really impressive. But you can see how slow they're moving. When Lucid can produce 100,000 vehicles a year, Polestar will probably be able to produce 150 to 200,000 vehicles a year. Electric vehicles. By the way, that Polestar will perhaps be ahead of Porsche if they're not already ahead of Porsche. I think they are, because Porsche only has a Taycan as electric vehicle. So electric vehicle sales, Polestar is beating Porsche, and they'll beat Lucid as well. Not to mention, they don't just offer high-end performance vehicles. They also offer cheaper vehicles as well. That's the genius of the Volvo strategy. And I think this is what Lucid has to adapt if they want to survive in the current market. Because there's not a market anymore where there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition. So during quarter 4, 3,493 were produced. Those are all vehicles. And 1,932 units were delivered. So because they're limited on the choices customers can make, Lucid will struggle short term and perhaps long term. They will struggle. And they will struggle more than Polestar. And Polestar will struggle as well. But can you imagine struggling more than Polestar? And they have the support of Geely and Volvo. While Lucid do not have the support of a larger parent company who is also a manufacturer of vehicles, who has the history. They don't have that. So the future, next 5 to 10 years, will prove to be very difficult for Lucid. So throughout this week, we can watch the share price to see carefully what's going to happen. Is it going to go up even more? Is it going to go down? Will there be some final confirmation or some statements to address the current rumors? So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. Leave a comment. And remember to check out our blog, our Monument blog. Subscribe to our newsletter so you can get weekly updates with new articles. Leave a like, comment, and I'll see you in the next one.